What's going on YouTube? Austin here with Jones' Southern Barbecue, and today I'm going to be showing you how I smoke these St. Louis spare ribs competition style. Since we're going to be smoking these competition style, the first thing we want to do is take these ribs, flip them over, and then trim them up real good. Alright, let's get these ribs flipped over. Go ahead and start trimming them. So one of the first things we're going to do to trim them is we want to take this right here, cut this tip of it off right here. The next what we want to do is kind of shorten them up a little bit. So you feel the bones right here. What we're going to do is just kind of go through here and shorten these ribs up a little bit. This way, so when you put them on the smoker, you get a nice even cook. So as you can see here, you're starting to get it nice and square looking. That's what you want when you're cooking competition style ribs. Now that we got them trimmed and squared up, what we want to do next is take a butter knife or something that you can get up underneath this membrane. And what we're going to do is loosen that up a little bit, just enough where you can grab it, and then we're going to pull it off. So we'll go ahead and do that now. So now that we got the membrane pulled off, last step we want to do before we start to season it down is go ahead and let's trim off anything that doesn't look good that we don't want to eat or doesn't look good on the ribs. So we'll go ahead and do those last little bit of trimming here. So we got a little bit of fat here. We're going to go ahead and just take that off. All right, so we got it squared up, we got it trimmed, we got the membrane pulled off. So now what we'll do is go ahead and season it. So we'll start on the back side here. What we're gonna do is put a little bit of mustard on there, and this is just gonna act as a binder. You're not really gonna taste or anything like that. This is just to help hold that rub on that we're gonna put on in just a second. So go ahead and put a little bit of mustard there, and then we're gonna rub it in. Make sure you get the sides. All right, and then now we're gonna go ahead and put on the rub. So we're gonna do two different types of rubs here. We're gonna do one from Kosmos Q Hot Cow cover. So that way it'll give it a little spice. And then we're gonna do some Killer Hogs barbecue, barbecue rub, and that'll give it that little bit of sweetness. So we're gonna start with a light layer of the hot. We don't wanna overdo it with the hot. So again, we're not trying to coat it too heavily here. All right, now we're gonna put on the Killer Hogs, the barbecue rub. And this will give it that little bit of sweetness. So again, just nice even layers. All right, now just kind of pat that down. Don't want to rub it in, but we're just gonna kind of pat it in. All right, flip it over and let's do this side. Put your mustard down for a binder. All right, again, we're gonna start with the Kosmos Q Hot cover. Then we'll go ahead and put on Killer Hogs, the barbecue rub. Pat it down in. All right, so now we got it seasoned, and what we're gonna do now is go out and get the pellet smoker preheated and then let this sit for about 30 to 45 minutes. So that way it'll really let that seasoning really absorb into that meat, and you'll start to see it sweat here a little bit and kind of bring that moisture to the top. So that's what we want to do, is let it sit for about 30 to 45 minutes. All right, so today we're gonna be firing up the Pit Boss Classic 700. And what pellets we're gonna be using is a mixture of Pit Boss's Competition Blend and Pit Boss's Apple. So that way it gives it a little bit of hickory and then also a little bit of sweetness from those apple pellets. So what we want to do is get an ideal temperature of 250. So we're going to go ahead and put it in that smoke setting and let it preheat to 250 degrees, and then we'll come back here shortly and we'll throw the ribs on. All right, so we got it running it at about 250 degrees. So we're gonna go ahead and throw these ribs on. Once we put them on though, we're gonna come out here about after 30 minutes and then spritz them with apple juice and water, make sure it's about a 50-50. And then we're gonna do that for the first 2 hours. And that's about how long we're gonna leave them on before we wanna pull them off and then wrap them. All right, so we'll come back out in 30 minutes, take a look at it, and then we're going to spray a little bit of the apple juice water mixture on. All right, so they've been on for about 30 minutes now, so we're going to open it up for the first time, take a look at it, and then spray a little bit of the apple juice and water mixture on there. So we got a couple dry spots, so that's where we want to make sure that we hit it with that that apple juice spray. So just spritz a little bit. We don't want to douse it too much. All right, so now we got it done for the first 30 minutes, got that first spray on. We're gonna close it back down, come back out in 30 more minutes and take another look at it. We're an hour into the ribs being on the smoker, so we're gonna open up this lid, take a look at it, and spray them down again. So you can see it's kind of dry all over, so we're gonna take the mixture, spray it on there because we don't want them to dry out on us. All right, so we're gonna close the lid here, check back in and again in about another 30 minutes, spritz them down again. All right, we're an hour and a half into it. Let's open up the lid, check it out, and see what we're working with. Starting to get some nice bark on it. Go ahead and spray it down again. All right, so we'll check back on it again here in about 30 minutes, which will be the 2 hour mark, and then we'll see if we need to pull it off at that time. All right, so they've been on for 2 hours now. So what we're gonna do is open up the lid, take a look at them. Probably gonna go ahead and pull them off, and then we'll take them inside and wrap them. So let's take a look. All right, yeah, so we're gonna take them off, take them inside, and we'll wrap them. All right, so the ribs are pulled off, been on there for about 2 hours, and what we're gonna do is wrap them now. So first thing we're gonna do is, what we're gonna put down is a little bit of butter. And this is about a 1/4 cup of butter. Then you want to sprinkle a 1/4 cup of brown sugar over that as well. This will kind of add some of that sweetness to the rubs that we put on there. Then we're going to drizzle about 1 tablespoon of honey kind of all over it right here. All right, so then you want to take your ribs and then we're going to place them meat side down. So you want the bones facing up. Place them on there just like that. Then you can go through here and kind of pick off any of these little burnt pieces that are sticking on the ends. All right, so now it's time to wrap it. We'll put it back on the smoker. All right, so let's take it back out there and put it back on the smoker. All right, now that we got them wrapped, what we want to do is put them back on the smoker. We're going to put them on there for about an hour. Again, we're going to put them meat side down. All right, so we've had the ribs on now for about a little over an hour. Just checked them. They're at temp, they're at 203 degrees, so that's when we want to pull them off. We did run out a little bit of daylight, but we're gonna go ahead and take these ribs off. We're gonna take them inside, and then we're gonna let them rest for about 30 to 45 minutes, and then we'll see you then, and then we're gonna open them up, put them on the board, and then we're gonna put a little bit of a glaze on them. All right, so we've let the ribs rest for about 30 to 40 minutes now. So what we wanna do next is go ahead and open them up here, and then we're gonna transfer them into this meat side up, and then we're gonna put a little bit of a glaze on it. If you can see there, it's got some real good color, got a little bright red to it, good bark. So now what we wanna do is we're gonna glaze them. So for the glaze, I have some Heinz Carolina vinegar style sweet and tangy sauce mixed with a little bit of the Carolina Q's Carolina sweet hickory sauce. So you got about a 1/4 cup of this mixed in and about 1/2 cup of this mixed together. So what we want to do now is go ahead and put that glaze on. You don't want to put a heavy coat, you want to do a light glaze on it again. So you don't want it to be too much on there. All right, so we got a nice glaze on them. So what we're gonna do now is go take it back out to the smoker. We're gonna sit it on there for about 10 to 15 minutes, just long enough for this, this glaze to kind of tack up a little bit and really thicken up, and then we're gonna pull it off and we'll be done and it'll be ready to eat. All right, so we just pulled them off the smoker after being on there for about 15 minutes to let that glaze kind of thicken up and get nice and solid on the top of it. So what we're gonna do now is cut into it and see how it tastes. So you can see that you got a nice good smoke ring. They're good and juicy. So let's take a bite of them and see how they taste. That's a good rib right there. Thanks for watching my video, and if you liked it, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel.